on many questions. For example, constitution. As communists, we have our approach to constitution. This constitution, we may have many we have improvement is needed. In course of time, we have to improve the constitution. Now there are many, for example, the question of private property, many questions are there. And even in 19, because I am explaining since this question, this constitution has, for example, in 1930, Government of India, and many were taken from that Government of India Act, verbatim, many articles were taken, of course. But Dr. Ambedkar, when this constitution was drafted, in spite of these problems, many democratic rights were there. Even reservation, for example, one of the important democratic rights, because for the historical injustice suffered by the untouchables, the most oppressed in our country, reservation was inserted as part of the Indian Constitution. It is a basic connected with the basic structure of the Indian Constitution. So that is a affirmative kind of an affirmative action, which is the most important. As a, if you take the whole world, that the Indian Constitution provides a very what is called a very serious intervention in that. Similarly, we have many other fundamental rights, right to our life, right to public opinion. So similar rights are there. Today, what we are seeing, today even these rights are now snatched away. Whatever democratic rights are there, many constitutional amendments have been brought forward. Federalism. Now federalism is only in name, because you know the Modi government in 2017, June 30th midnight, called a midnight session of Indian Parliament. Earlier, the midnight session of Indian Parliament took place at the time of power transfer. When the Britishers went there, the power was transferred to the Indian people. Now in 2017, June 30th, another midnight session of the Indian Parliament was held. Again for another power transfer. It is the transfer of power to the corporates. Because the whole economy, the tax power of the states, 60% of the tax powers of the states were now being taken over by the Indian state, which serves the interest of the Indian capital, a unified, a uniform, unitary market. For there, that means state differences were being taken away. And in the name of goods and services, GST, which is one of the most reactionary neoliberal tax reforms. And after the Second World War, this is the most important tax reform ever created in the world. This is the proponents of this tax regime are IMF, World Bank, USAID, many agencies are there. Even global consultancies are there. And many agencies were there. But the same forces, the same agencies who are implementing these type of tax reforms in our country, they are not implementing in, for example, America. America GST is not there. There the power of the states are still there. The states have their power to have taxes. Yeah. But in India it is being taken away. So the unitary federalism is only in name. Then they are imposing this what is called language question, superimposing this imposition of Hindi and Sanskrit. So in that way, federal character of the Indian state is being taken away. So similarly, as I have already said, in many fields, India is a multinational. That means composed of many nationalities, multicultural, multilingual, and multi-ethnic, multi-religious country. So Indian Constitution accepts all these things. At least in so far, for the last 75 years we have seen. But from 2014 onward, we are seeing a different perception, a different understanding. The 370, Article 370 is abrogated. And that is, it was actually, Constitution is amended. We know how Kashmir came into existence, etc. It is historical. Similarly, what happened in the case of this Citizenship Amendment, CAA, that means the Muslims are now treated as second-class citizens. What is the situation? Indian Constitution does not make a distinction between religious for citizenship. So this now the fascism is coming in a what is called in a protracted way, by which everything is where the Indian Constitution was provided. Some democratic rights were there. These are also not being there now. This is the situation. Therefore, Bharat Bachao, in that sense, Save the constitution means when the corporates, with the interest of the corporates, the most reactionary elements, whatever basic rights are in the constitution are being taken away. So it is our task to oppose it, and that is why we are now taking up this task. So we agree with this proposal that the constitution also today, the constitution also should be, we have to save it, because if these people are coming to power, they have already said that they will not accept the constitution, because as we know, in 1949 and 50, the RSS already demanded that the Indian constitution should be municipal. So if they get power, they will change the constitution.
Yeah.
And they will, for example, in parliament, they know this parliament is now only a spectator. Decisions are made in corporate boardrooms. Policy decisions are made in corporate boardrooms.
Corporate in Nagpur.
That what is happening. Therefore, you see what is these agricultural, these three farm laws, draconian farm laws, where it is simply put before the parliament. These laws, this bill was not subject to any parliamentary committees. This important thing. Similarly, labor laws, environment impact assessment, EIA, education bill, this NEP 2020. These are not at all discussed in parliament. Parliament is a spectator. It is a edifice. During the time of Hitler, they have to abolish the parliament, because fascism can be a full-fledged, there can be implemented only by abolishing the parliament. Today, the Modi regime and the fascists the world over, neo-fascists the world over, they are capable to maintain the parliament, and at the same time they can implement neo-fascism. That is the difference. So therefore, you cannot say that it should be a repetition. Fascism should be a repetition of what happened in the what is in the colonial period. Every social phenomenon is continuously changing. So that is applicable to the fascism also. Every social phenomenon will be constantly changing. So today, according to the present situation, corporate capital has adapted to the present situation such that they are capable to maintain the parliament. And within the parliamentary system, it is capable for them to implement fascism that we are experiencing today. So therefore, we are for saving the constitution in that sense. This is our understanding while we joining this Bharat Bachao movement.